We are all waiting to see the price of XRP running to the upside like this. Running crazy, starting an impulsive move. But before that happens, we need to understand what the short-term outlooks look like. Because we had this call and it was actually breaking to the downside. And here we are. Right now, the price of XRP actually touched close to 0.48. In some of the exchanges, we did even lower. So we need to first understand which direction we are actually going into. Because when we actually see things like this, you need to actually ask the question where you are in this group and what you are targeting. Because that would mean this gives you a narrative of which direction you're going. Because generational wealth, yes, it's all of us actually want that. But the question is, are you going to make that in one asset like this, or usually take the history and learn how these guys made that? Then there was something interesting from the Credible Crypto highlighting the fact that we are looking for a double bottom structure in Bitcoin and a move back to the upside. Now, yes, the news, the narrative, and everything else matters at this point because the US is having trouble. And that's one of the reasons why we are watching central banks like this buying and holding and accumulating gold. And then you're actually watching all these macro factors coming into play. And at that point, they're saying this is not sustainable. We all understand that fact. And that's why we are looking at these banks. And this Friday, we are about to see a lot of data coming out. And that's going to direct us. Gold is at a retest. What's it going to do? That's an important factor. Dollar is retesting the recent breakout. What is that going to do? And if you then take a look at XRP, its price history, where it is right now and what the possibilities are based on the history, then you actually know the direction. But the short term always matches up with the Bitcoin side of things because that can literally shake the market. So you need to know where the market as a whole is and what it looks like. Is there anything similar in the history? If so, you need to understand that's a possible movement in this market. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Before we jump in, please do hit that like button for me. That supports the channel a lot. So we are actually jumping all of the data. First, you need to actually ask this question. I've actually gone through this once. So keep this in mind. Depending on your age, you are looking at different numbers. Great. But then the next number which you have to associate with that is how much XRP do you actually hold, right? And what's your actual target? So if you do have 1 million XRP, that's a different story. If you have 100K units of XRP, that's a different story. But again, if your age is 25, for you to reach this range, you don't need 1 million XRP. That's a different story. You need to actually think about that. You reaching 200,000 is like when XRP reaching $10, you only actually need 25,000 units of XRP for you to reach that top 1%. From that point, you have the edge about all of them who are in your age group. You're not actually racing with the Bill Gates. You're not actually racing with the Bezos or Musk. You are competing against the world where people are in your age or below. You're competing in that segment. Let the thought process be straight. That's going to be easy. If you're 30, then 1 million kind of takes you to that top 1% of the world. That's a big deal. So if you have 100K units of XRP and XRP reaches $10, that's it. You're already there. The thought process which we shared here about this possibility is based on the price history itself. And that shows we have a lot of upside in the next move up. Great. But where does all this come from? That's a big question for us to understand, right? And that's where we are headed. If you actually watch what happened back in 2021, yes, we did first run up, which was a little bit slow. Then the second one and the third one was high impulsive move. But we crashed back down below that range. We broke that trend line. That was crazy. But what happened after that, right? But if you actually understand this three move, the 1, the 2, and the 3, and then come to look at what happened right now, you kind of see the probability of price doing the 1 here, the 2 here, and the 3, where that impulse was crazy. And after that craziness, we should call it craziness, you came back down to this range. Now, what are we watching here? If we are to believe that the history is rhyming itself, that means that trend line should break. You should come back above that. But before that, you may actually do some weird stuff here in the bottom. Maybe 0.45, maybe 0.4, maybe the recent bottom of 0.42. That is still going to be something to watch out for. For me, that's nothing like a big deal. It's still what we are looking at the history. Now, why is that important? Because when you actually talk about this and say the 1, the 2, and the 3, you pop, and you have done this in this cycle, last cycle followed by that, you started a new trend. So if you don't believe in the trend lines, then it's going to be hard for you because the price action is showing you it was following 1 here. Then after that broke, you started following another one. That's great. That means this time around, we are watching for what's happening after this. If you are to break lower from here, that means the next bounce is going to give you the idea of which direction you're going and what's the momentum going to be. Because if you actually look at the first one, the angle of elevation here is different from the next one. The next one was with a higher level of momentum. That kind of shows you the idea and the direction where we are headed. And if you actually take this clear idea of the 1, the 2, and the 3, the 1 was okay. It's slow, but it's still okay. The 2 was bigger than 1, and you can actually see the scale actually. Now, if you take that idea back here, that's what we are watching. This is a trend line we have been moving around from some time. We've completed the 1. We're starting off the 2 in a way like this, the 1, the 2, and the 3. The micro model for the macro structure like this. So what if the next one, the 1, the 2, and the 3 is going to be something like this? That's a huge thing you need to ask yourself. We drop like this, agreed, but then we do something like this. Is that possible? Now, it can actually do a little bit of different variations for that matter, but you still understand the question here. What if we are about to do something like this? That means if the price goes up, then you actually need to understand, yeah, this is how that played out last time, and this is what you're watching out for this time. Which means you have an edge in the market because you are literally waiting for whales to exit so that you will buy onto it. Now, one of the things which you have to keep a little bit closer to your attention zone is that when XRP moves up, it moves up like this. This is like, just 2 weeks of boom. It rallies to the upside. Here, it was just the 1 week which went to the upside. Then you came back down, consolidated, all those crazy stuff playing out with your patience. Same. Then it's not a different story as you're going to the upside. One candle to the upside here, another candle to the upside here. So whenever it's moving, you don't have too much time. It's just 1 or 2 weeks to the upside with a big burst. That means the momentum, when it actually starts in this asset, it starts crazy. When do you actually get the idea of the change is coming? The change is coming is highlighted by the fact that you're going back to the previous range or breaking that range. So for me, that means, yeah, this candle kind of showed you the change is already here. Why? Because that kind of broke the previous range. Now, after breaking that, do you stay above that? If it does, it's actually good. That's the textbook pattern. But for some reason, some of these crypto actually play a little bit wild. They manipulate us. They kind of show you that now I'm going back down, and it plays with emotions. A lot of people get stuck there. If you actually look at XLM, it was the same. You broke below that before you went back up. Right now, this is where you are. So maybe you're going to go do this stuff and play with the emotions of people, and then you go back up. Now, why am I highlighting on that point or pressing on it? Because for me, more than my thought process or my opinion, this matters. What has happened in the past and what is happening right now in front of us. Because if the price action is showing you something, why should I go against it? If the market is showing me this, I don't want to go against it because maybe I'm wrong, my thought process is wrong, but the market is always right. It is trying to fetch for a new price by manipulating as much retailers as possible. Or it's the whales, it's the financial institutions who are doing that. So if you understand that correctly, they make the profit most of the time. That narrative is clear. Now, if you want to play according to their rules, their book, the first one is manipulation. Let's forget about that. We don't have that much money to play with a 100 million, 500 million fund to manipulate the market. The next one is time. I do have that. I mean, patience as an XRP holder from 2017, I'll say I have enough patience. So they cannot actually beat me on that front. Third, understanding of the market structure and how the market works. These two are critical when you don't have that amount of capital to manipulate the market. That's enough to make significant amount of money. Now, once we understand these factors, then you actually go on a macro structure. Say you go onto a monthly chart for XRP and you're watching about the same thing. There is no big difference here. When you're actually coming down, you do the 1 and 2, you consolidate there. Then as soon as your trend starts changing, a new trend comes, the 1, the 2, and boom. You do have some variations. Last time, the market was showing you more like it's a double top. The market is about to go lower, right? That was the narrative. But what happens? The market goes up. That's where a lot of people are getting screwed. The thought process where the market shows like I'm going this way on a short term, but then the macro shows you, no, I'm going to the other direction. So you need a ton of patience to see where these patterns comes in. So if you do have that, here the market already showed you this fact, I'm breaking to the upside. Why is that so important? Because when it is moving through one segment, you need to see whether that's a small movement or a big movement. Because if the market is breaking through something with significant amount of volatility, that shows the direction is clear. That's the way we are headed. Now, for you to look at that and say, okay, that's a medium-term pattern, great. For sure, that is a medium-term pattern. If you want more validation on the macro structure, then you're actually going to look at a monthly chart in this way, and you're putting this argument here, okay, we haven't yet broken this range. We need to watch the price action breaking through this one. Yeah, agreed. That's where you get these kind of pop coming in. But where does that actually start? Around $1. As soon as you break through that dollar mark, you kind of get that idea. If you actually look at multiple assets, which actually follows a short-term structure, say you go on to a daily chart here on XDC, and if you're actually following FIB, for short term, this actually works like a clockwork. It's actually okay. You kind of see like, okay, this was the target. You actually came somewhat close to that. That's actually a good thing to look at. And then if you're actually looking at the next one, you kind of see like how it actually works. Which means if you are actually consolidating, say coming back down to this range of previous resistance turning into a support, that means you have a long way to the upside. Because we are watching something similar here. This is one of the reasons why I'm saying payments as an asset class is here to stay. There is going to be a lot of volatility for sure, but as soon as you see the 1, the 2, and 3, the burst, then you come back down to that trend line, you do some crazy stuff, and then start off a new trend. When that new trend starts, you want to try and stay in that asset to grasp that. So this is just showing the payments assets as a whole starting to move up. Now, yeah, it has actually done the first 1, 2, and 3. So that means some crazy stuff is there. But when you actually come on to the XRP side of things, that shows you the fact that, okay, we have completed the 1, 2, and 3, and almost that next one is about to start here, which is where a lot of money is going to play out. Why? And how? So you're focusing on the strength. Okay, who's buying, who's selling, what the hell is happening in the market? So you have this one here, you're playing out like this, you want to see the market doing this. Now, as of now, we don't have a confirmation for that. If we break to the downside, that's a different story. That means this pattern is invalidated. But as of now, you can put the argument like this is your head, this is your first shoulder, and you may do another shoulder here. If you actually do that, then the market is already trending up. Your momentum will be increasing like this. You will bounce from here. That is going to be something great to watch because your upside on the RSI does address that point. Now, you go on a macro, say a 3-day or a weekly, and you want to put in the question like, okay, if we are actually getting rejected there, what do we want to see on this chart? Yes, we broke to the downside. Yes, we came back. Yes, we got rejected. What the hell should happen next so that we can go back up? Because the crazy thing here is when people say, nah, it's done, it's going back to point 3, point 2, I don't agree with that. Because when I go back in history, when I'm looking at the price action and what it has actually shown, not only me, each and every one of us, that's like this. I don't want to go against it unless that's invalidated. Unless and until that stays true for this cycle, I'm not going bearish for this asset. So if you actually make a higher low here, even barely, it doesn't matter how. Even if you come here and bounce off and break through this, that means you're starting off. And the key thing here, which I want you to understand is, if you had the patience to go through the first 1, the 2, and the 3, and all of this manipulation here, that was like 300 days. Great. Now, the next run up till the top is 100 days. So if you have the patience to wait for that 300 days, next is going to be much easier than that to take out that top. Now, we'll be going through all the stuff to watch the top. As soon as there is a divergence showing the whales are moving out, take your bags and move out. I'll be informing you guys about that and showing you that I'm exiting as well. It won't just be some words when I'm taking profits. I'll actually send you the screenshots. I'm closing this, guys. If you want, you can follow me. This is the same thing which happened at 1.91. I closed, I inform you guys. Some of them actually closed. Some of them were in 4 or 5 different channels, groups, and like others are saying $10, say $8, $6. I'm not taking profit now. I'm waiting for a higher target. We really don't know what the hell is going to happen in the market. So taking some profits does matter. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do smash that like button for me. And if you're looking for these kind of details, and if you want to go through one-on-one sessions with me, with your portfolio, discussing through the possible scenarios and narratives, then you can look at the link of Patreon, which is in the description below. I'll meet you guys on next video. Bye for now.